Super Lucky Disaster Man. Chapter 51, Betting on Escaping Singlehood. Dazai Osamu put down the document in his hand, waving to make Komaeda Nagito come over. Komaeda Nagito casually placed the book meant as a gift on the table, then just like before, leaned against Dazai Osamu's desk. Dazai Osamu pulled Komaeda Nagito's bandaged hand and looked at it. So it was boss who bandaged you. Akutagawa did this? For others, perhaps nothing could be seen, but for Dazai Osamu, everything seemed as clear as if it had happened right before his eyes. It was very easy for him to deduce the preceding process from the result in front of him. Komaeda Nagito still hadn't responded, so Dazai Osamu continued, knowing full well you're my guest, yet daring to attack you, it's definitely Akutagawa. As expected of Dazai-kun, you guessed it so easily. Komaeda Nagito, having taken medicine, didn't feel any pain at all now, regaining his vitality, and continued praising as usual, the choice in subordinates is indeed great, Akutagawa-kun really does have potential. His ability is called Rashomon, right? Dazai Osamu. He looked at Komaeda Nagito's bandaged arm and felt a sense of mockery, but considering Komaeda-kun's tone had always been like this, it probably wasn't a big deal to be injured by the potential Akutagawa-kun. Mori-san must have gone to punish Akutagawa this time. Dazai Osamu thought to himself. But if it wasn't himself doing it, the effect on Akutagawa would probably be the same. When he has time, he'll teach him another lesson. He needs to make sure Akutagawa remembers this lesson, knowing that he shouldn't act recklessly against people Dazai cares about in the future. After letting go of Komaeda Nagito's wrist, Dazai Osamu asked, "Did the boss ask you to convey anything to me?" "No," Komaeda Nagito replied. "But he said that injuring me was already bad enough, and making me come back empty-handed was even more an improper way to treat a guest." Dazai Osamu was satisfied. That's good. As expected, the boss is truly lenient with Komaeda-kun. He was suddenly saddled today with a bunch of responsibilities that he technically didn't need to take on. But even if he did, it wasn't particularly bothersome, plus the work couldn't be delayed, which made him almost miss the celebration party. Considering Mori Ogai's consistent interest in Komaeda Nagito and a little speculation of his own, Dazai Osamu decided to try calling Komaeda Nagito over. As it turned out, Mori Ogai really did grant him some time off. So, what exactly is the relationship between that Natsume Soseki and Boss Mori? Dazai Osamu slowly sifted through the possible answers in his head while calling out to the person nearby, "Take the rest of these to the boss's office." Entering the room, the black-clad figure saw stacks of documents occupying more than half of the table, and confirmed, "All of it?" "That's right," Dazai Osamu responded offhandedly, then complained to Komaeda Nagito, "Actually, these things in theory should be read by the boss himself, but he ended up saying something about trusting me and handed them all over." So easy for him to say. Komaeda-kun, you really shouldn't just blindly trust Boss Mori's words. When he's talking to you, his mind is always figuring out how to use you. The black-clad figure, just about to go out to find a trolley to move the documents. Dazai-sama. Talking like that about the boss in front of outsiders, is it really alright? Komaeda Nagito, however, didn't mind at all, and he smiled as he said, "Such a formidable person like Boss Mori also think I'm worth exploiting? How delightful. He should just say it outright, I'll definitely cooperate very well." Dazai Osamu childishly showed an unhappy expression, "Rather than being used by the boss, wouldn't it be better to be used by me? I'm sure I can use Komaeda-kun even better than Boss Mori." Komaeda Nagito pondered, "Am I not being used by Dazai-kun right now?" "That's true." Dazai Osamu thought for a moment, then happily said, "Thanks to you, otherwise getting out of today would have been somewhat troublesome. Now I can finally throw all these messy matters to the boss." The person in black pushed the trolley back. Dazai-sama and his friends, their conversation is too harsh. Nowadays, do young people casually hang the word, used, on their lips like that? Even though everyone knows that a person without any value is just trash, even as someone like him, already a middle-aged family man, hearing someone say they want to used him makes his heart tremble. Rather than that. Dazai-kun, do you have wrapping paper? Komaeda Nagito gestured to the book he brought. It got scraped from the earlier incident. Dazai Osamu was just about to say something when an unexpected sound suddenly came from the door that wasn't properly closed. Dazai-sama, the boss asked me to bring this over. Dazai Osamu looked at the garishly wrapped package in the other's hand. He repeated it again and again in his heart. Boss Mori really cares a lot about Komaeda-kun. No matter who provided it, in short, Komaeda Nagito had new wrapping paper, and it was in Dazai Osamu's office where the gift was wrapped once again. Then he watched as Dazai Osamu openly and brightly carried it, led him out of the building, and even called the driver to drive them to Tokyo. After all, Mori Ogai definitely knew that Dazai Osamu was going out with Komaeda Nagito, and Komaeda Nagito still had to attend school the next day, so heading directly to Tokyo was quite reasonable. Dazai Osamu randomly chose a place to get off in Tokyo, and after sending the driver back to Yokohama, he led Komaeda Nagito left and right, heading into Lupin Bar. Komaeda Nagito, watching the bartender in the back mixing drinks without changing his expression, noticed that they weren't being kicked out by the bartender, so he guessed that Dazai Osamu was probably a regular here. Especially when he saw the familiar calico cat lounging on the bar counter, eyes half closed as if it was sleeping, Komaeda Nagito became even more certain. Sensei. You said we'd meet again today, and it turns out you meant here. Did you already know Dazai-kun would choose this place? As expected of Natsume-sensei. Here comes the cat again. Ah. Dazai Osamu raised an eyebrow, stretched out his hand to try and hold it, but it avoided him. That seemingly slightly plump fake calico cat made a leap, escaping Dazai Osamu's reach, then strolled over to Komaeda Nagito's side, leaning in to examine his bandaged left arm. Natsume cat, meow meow meow. Earlier today, it looked perfectly fine, so how did it end up wrapped up like this after just a moment out of sight? Could it be a turn of bad luck? Ah, this little disciple of his truly makes one worry. Dazai Osamu failed to catch the cat and simply sat down, resting his face on his hand while watching the calico cat rub against Komaeda Nagito. Ah, this cat really likes Komaeda-kun, huh? Last time I tried to match it with someone, it didn't react, but now it seems it simply dislikes me. Komaeda Nagito quickly understood. Natsume-sensei's ability was to transform into a cat, while Dazai Osamu's ability nullifies others' abilities. In other words, if Dazai Osamu touched Natsume-sensei, he would instantly turn back into his human form. Just imagining that scene made even Komaeda Nagito feel embarrassed. Don't worry, Natsume-sensei. I will protect you well. Dazai Osamu suddenly stretched out his hand for a surprise strike, but the quick calico cat dodged it, moving directly to sit between Dazai Osamu and Komaeda Nagito. Komaeda Nagito decisively chose to mediate for Natsume-sensei. Dazai-kun probably has a constitution that cats dislike. Dazai Osamu blinked innocently. Not really, if it were a dog, that would be understandable, we mutually dislike each other. But the cats I've met before weren't like this. The conversation was starting to head into a dangerous direction, but fortunately, Sakaguchi Ango and Oda Saku arrived at that moment, breaking Dazai Osamu's focus on the calico cat. Oda Sakanosuke came over, and Natsume the cat immediately jumped to a spot a little further from Dazai Osamu, making space for Oda Sakanosuke to sit. Dazai, and this one. Komaeda-kun. Good evening. Sakaguchi Ango introduced himself with a smile. I am Sakaguchi Ango. Komaeda Nagito looked at him with sparkling eyes. Sakaguchi-san. Dazai Osamu, Sakaguchi Ango, Oda Sakanosuke. These are the ruffian trio, aren't they? Unfortunately, now in this world, the only one who properly writes is Oda Sakanosuke. The ruffian faction can't even be fully assembled. But it's fine. Just being able to see the appearance of these three gathering, coming to this world wasn't in vain. This is truly a hopeful scene. Sakaguchi Ango, feeling increasingly uncomfortable under Komaeda Nagito's enthusiastic gaze, and already having a fair idea of Komaeda Nagito's rather peculiar personality, decisively interrupted him. I've always heard Oda Saku and Dazai talk about you, but it looks like I finally get to meet you today. No need to be so formal, to be honest, I actually knows you quite well. Dazai Osamu, not wanting to listen to any more of Komaeda Nagito's excessive praises, promptly interrupted as well. Ango is from the intelligence department, and his famous saying is, if it's not under my jurisdiction, I won't do it. Didn't expect you to arrive so early today. Sakaguchi Ango adjusted his glasses, sitting on the chair across from Dazai Osamu. How could I miss Oda Saku's celebration party? Of course, I worked overtime like crazy, and then pushed whatever I could to others. Oh, that's rare. Dazai Osamu clapped his hands. But I just got back and heard some really incredible news. Sakaguchi Ango showed a subtle expression. Dazai, do you know that right now the headquarters is spreading rumors everywhere about you and Komaeda getting a room together? Dazai Osamu. Oda Sakunosuke. Natsume the cat. Why is it like this? Why is it like this? He just assigned his disciple a love homework. It shouldn't be because of the homework, right? If you think carefully, he left for an afternoon. Whatever they wanted to do might indeed be over. No, calm down a bit. This is actually the first time I've heard of it. Dazai Osamu hesitated for a moment, then returned to smiling. Did Akutagawa-kun say it? Though I guessed he would have a conflict with Komaeda-kun, I really didn't think he'd mention this. It was Boss Mori who insisted he come to the hotel to pick me up that time. Oda Sakunosuke remained silent for a few seconds, probably considering his words. Dazai, Komaeda-kun, be careful. Oda Saku, it's not what you think. Dazai Osamu's expression froze, not even noticing that Natsume the cat had just puffed up its fur. I'm just staying for one night. How frustrating, it's just like the time when he couldn't even say, Komaeda-kun and I are just normal friends. Komaeda Nagito testified for him. Yes, I'm merely providing Dazai-kun a place to hide and rest, nothing more. Ha, someone like me wouldn't have a lover in the first place. Natsume the cat lay back down again. This old man firmly refused to admit that his thoughts were dirty. It was entirely because the other party's phrasing was careless. Komaeda-kun, you don't need to belittle yourself either, you'll eventually find someone you like. Sakaguchi Ango comforted him with a few words, then said sympathetically, although I can roughly guess the truth, the rumors at the headquarters are truly frightening now. Dazai Osamu smiled again. Don't worry, I understand clearly. Seeing Dazai Osamu's unusually bright smile, Sakaguchi Ango felt sympathy for a certain person at headquarters. Alright, let's not talk about this. Quickly, let me see what you're planning to give Oda Saku. Dazai Osamu dropped this delicate topic. Oda Sakunosuke obediently changed the subject. Actually, there's no need to give any gifts, it's too much, just some drafts. Dazai Osamu pushed the box from the bar counter towards Oda Sakunosuke with some force, saying, even if the editor recommended you to enter the competition, it's not that simple. Anyway, no matter what, we should celebrate a little. Here's the gift. Sakaguchi Ango glanced at the shape of the box. Is it a fountain pen? I knew it would be something like this. I bought some clothes for the kids, and had the store send them directly to your place. You should see them when you get home. Oda Sakunosuke thanked them one by one. Thank you, it's all just what I needed. Komaeda Nagito also brought out the book that had been rewrapped. Sakaguchi Ango asked curiously, a book? Let me guess, could it be a book from Natsume Soseki-sensei? Oda Saku really liked Natsume Soseki's books, isn't he? Komaeda-kun must have hit the spot. Although he thinks Oda Saku probably already bought all the ones on the market. Aha. Komaeda Nagito said awkwardly, initially, I was going to give some random ink pens, but someone said it would definitely clash, so I figured it'd be better to give Natsume-sensei's book instead. Dazai Osamu laughed cheerfully and said, hurry up and open it, Oda Saku, there's a surprise. With these words, even Sakaguchi Ango was curious, what surprise? Could it be Natsume Soseki's newly published book that Odasaku hasn't gotten his hands on yet? Dazai Osamu said cryptically, Ango will know in a moment. Oda Sakamosuke was also a bit curious. He carefully tore open the paper wrapping, took out the book inside, and found that it was the exact copy he had bought before. However, since Dazai Osamu mentioned there would be a surprise, Oda Sakamosuke wasn't disappointed. He calmly opened it, planning to see if there was anything special inside. Ah! As soon as he flipped to the end paper, Oda Sakamosuke let out an exclamation. It's... Sakaguchi Ango was even more curious. What? What is it? Oda Sakamosuke slowly said, it's signed by Natsume-sensei. Sakaguchi Ango, what? As an intelligence agent, and moreover, possessing an ability that allows him to obtain the relevant memories on an object by touching it, for Sakaguchi Ango, many secrets are not secrets at all. For example, when two people are whispering, thinking that only heaven, earth, you, and I would know, with no one else being aware, but if Sakaguchi Ango came, it's equivalent to him knowing as well. Therefore, he was made a key training target by the Special Division. Some classified information wasn't really classified when it came to him, for example, the existence of Natsume Soseki, said to be the most powerful ability user in legend. In truth, many people in the Special Division didn't know about this, but he knew, and he also knew that the other party had some rather close personal connections. Though, beyond that, he didn't know much more. But in any case, Natsume Soseki was extremely mysterious and powerful, a legendary ability user with considerable influence even in higher circles. The government could only seek him based on his whims. Where did Komai-Dakuen even get the signature from? Could it be a forgery? He'd never heard that Natsume Soseki ever signed a book before. But even if someone wanted to forge a signature, they'd have to first see Natsume Soseki's handwriting, right? Where would you find that? Is it real? Sakaguchi Ango was so shocked that his glasses nearly fell off. He quickly adjusted them and, to hide his overreaction, explained, based on my intel, Natsume Soseki never signed any books. Oda Saku. I want to take a look too. Oda Sakamosuke extended his long arm and handed the book to Sakaguchi Ango. When Sakaguchi Ango took it and saw the handwriting, he realized that it really looked just like the one in the records kept by the Special Division. He activated his ability, Discourse on Decadence, and began to read the memories from the books. The first memories that appeared were of the most recent events, Sakaguchi Ango rapidly leaping from Yokohama to Tokyo, from the perspective of the books, again witnessing the conflict between Akutagawa Yunosuke and Komaeda Nagito in the lobby, then skipping over some boring images. Sakaguchi Ango-kun. Not expecting his name to suddenly be called from the memory within the object, Sakaguchi Ango felt his hair stand on end for a moment. Who? The image flashed, and he saw the person who touched the book, the one speaking to him across time and space. This old man is Natsume Soseki. By the time you read this memory, you must have already met this kid Komaeda. If you trust what this old man says, I have a favor to ask, please do not report any connection between me and Komaeda to the Special Division. This information cannot be disclosed to the government. I hope you can comply. But you also don't need to worry about how Dazai-kun will report to Mori Ogai. Just keep the part you know buried in your heart. As thanks, I have some intel I can provide. Ango? Ango? Dazai Osamu waved his hand in front of Sakaguchi Ango. What are you thinking about? Ah. Sakaguchi Ango concealed his expression and thoughts, adjusting his glasses. I'm recalling where this book's signature came from. No, I don't mean to be suspicious, I trust that Komaeda-kun brought the genuine signature. Dazai Osamu commented sarcastically, Komaeda-kun has so many secrets, I'm used to it. Actually, it was just given by someone else, ha ha ha. Komaeda Nagito laughed, casually brushing off the topic. After all, he had promised Natsume Soseki that their direct relationship couldn't be revealed, otherwise the protection on Natsume Soseki's side might lose its effect. Sakaguchi Ango also cooperatively didn't pursue the matter further, returning the signed book to Oda Sakamosuke. Oda Sakanosuke seriously expressed gratitude to Komaeda Nagito, without any suspicion about whether the signature could be fake, and assured that he would definitely keep it well. Want to drink something? Sakaguchi Ango changed the subject. We've been here for half a day, and haven't even ordered a drink yet, careful not to anger the owner. Dazai-Osamu leaned on the bar. I want a glass of detergent. We don't serve that here, the bartender calmly replied. Oda Sakanosuke and Sakaguchi Ango both ordered their favorite drinks, while Komaeda Nagito seemed a bit hesitant. Give him a Cinderella. Dazai-Osamu took it upon himself, ordering this teasing cocktail for Komaeda Nagito, and for me, just bring me a whiskey. Let me think, bourbon is fine. Cinderella is said to be a cocktail, but in truth, it was just a non-alcoholic drink. Being the youngest here, only 15 years old, Komaeda Nagito didn't have any objections. Moreover, with the current condition of his hand, even if he wanted to try alcohol, now was not the time. Although there was only one person behind the bar, the owner worked very quickly, and since what they ordered didn't require any flashy mixing steps, their drinks were ready soon. Dazai-Osamu raised his glass with enthusiasm. All right then. Here's to Oda Saku winning an award. Cheers. Oda Sakanosuke swallowed and said, wasn't it just celebrating getting the manuscript done? He cooperatively raised his glass and gave it a small clink. Cheers. The four of them raised their glasses together, reaching high into the sky before everyone took a small sip. None of them actually drank a full gulp. However, seeing Dazai-Osamu raise his glass again, trying to strike a pose, not drinking seemed inevitable anyway. Well then, this time, to getting rid of troublesome superiors, cheers. Oda Sakanosuke thought for a moment, to supporting our families, cheers. Komaeda Nagito enthusiastically joined in, to a hopeful future, cheers. Sakaguchi Ango also raised his glass and said, to not having to work overtime, cheers. Dazai-Osamu burst out laughing. Ango, you're really just a corporate slave, huh? Sakaguchi Ango shot him a glance. Aren't you also one of those, escaping from the superior? Let me switch to a better one. For Dazai's sake, to clear his name, cheers. Wait, Dazai, are you even a virgin? Oda Sakanosuke paused as he raised his glass. It should still be intact. Komaeda Nagito joined the conversation. I feel that Dazai-kun must be very popular with women. You're not wrong, Sakaguchi Ango nodded in agreement. The intelligence department has seen Dazai use his charms quite a few times. Even Dazai-Osamu himself didn't expect the topic would end up in such an odd place. That doesn't really count, does it? I was just making polite conversation as usual. From the result, it looks no different from a honey trap. Sakaguchi Ango said, Dazai, do you know how many fans you have? Although, secretly, many people have bet that you won't find a lover before you're 50. Dazai-Osamu raised an eyebrow. If I wanted to, actually, it would be very quick. Who started the bet? How much is in the pool? Sakaguchi Ango, with black lines across his face, are you trying to manipulate the betting pool? Forget it, I won't tell you. But the bookie must be someone on the inside, with quite a high status, since repeated reports have done nothing. Ah, but after what happened today, the bets might change. They might add a bet on whether your future lover is male or female. Humph. Dazai-Osamu took a sip of his drink. I want them to lose everything. Then good luck to you. You only have 3 years left, since practically everyone has placed a bet that you won't find a girlfriend before you're 20. Sakaguchi Ango said casually, unless you find a boyfriend in those 3 years, otherwise. He suddenly fell silent. Because he realized that Dazai-Osamu was looking thoughtfully at Komaeda Nagito. Guessing what Dazai-Osamu was thinking, Sakaguchi Ango immediately said, although we are friends, I also placed a bet inside. If you intend to cheat, I will report you. Dazai-Osamu kept his expression neutral. I knew it, Ango, you were in on it too. Alright, no cheating allowed. Sakaguchi Ango wasn't really worried about his own money, mainly because given this stance, if Dazai-Osamu wanted to cheat and get the dealer's approval, the chosen person would only be Komaeda Nagito. Just thinking about it made his stomach hurt. Dazai, take back those terrifying thoughts of yours. That's Natsume-sensei's student. Alright. Dazai Osamu said regretfully, since Ongo is requesting it, I suppose I won't cheat then. Sakaguchi Ongo immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Natsume Cat watching the whole scene also breathed a sigh of relief. Good heavens, this youngest disciple's friend is really something. But... Dazai Osamu's tone shifted. Ongo, how do you know that even if I don't cheat, you can still win? Sakaguchi Ongo was stunned. Dazai Osamu mused, actually, I just tried imagining it, and found that I don't entirely hate the idea of thinking of Komai Dakuen as my lover. I always thought I was strictly heterosexual. Stop. No. Keep your wits about you. Terrified, Sakaguchi Ongo immediately looked towards the other party involved, Komaeda Nagito, only to discover that the latter wasn't paying attention to his conversation with Dazai Osamu. Instead, he was talking to Oda Sakanosuke about something. Carefully listening in. Oda Sakanosuke said seriously, you could try falling in love. Sakaguchi Ongo. Oda-saku, what are you guys talking about? Natsume-sensei, your disciple, please come save him yourself, I really did my best. Chapter 51 End.